So there's been conspiracy theories going around on Twitter. Well, this is apparently what they're saying. So Tucker Carlson put this out on Twitter, and it says, a woman holds in her hand a newspaper in 2011, which basically says in black and white that Bill Gates said depopulation through compulsory vaccination, as it will be the zero carbon solution. And there's this woman holding up this newspaper, the Sovereign Independent. So I typed in Sovereign Independent and the date, and what should come up? Well, their reason of what's actually been said and who was misrepresented, and then the words conspiracy and disinformation. The moment that came up, that had my ears pricked up. So I shall simply read what they're saying it is, and then you can pick the peanuts out of poo, as it were. Okay, so it says, claim. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates wrote an article for the Sovereign Independent in 2011 called Depopulation by Forced Vaccination, the Zero Carbon Solution. That sounds all very deadly, doesn't it? Very, very ominous, very sort of, what do we want to call it? It will come to me in a minute. And it says, AP's assessment, false. Well, it was going to say that, wasn't it? Gates did not write this article. The newspaper used a quote from Gates out of context to support the misleading idea, but the text of the story was written by author, and it says who it was. Taken out of context. Why would you even put those anywhere near each other? But let's just read on the facts. So this is the how we're going to get out of this one. Social media users are recirculating a photo of a year-old edition of an Irish publication to claim the nearly a decade before COVID-19 pandemic billionaire philanthropist Gates warned in an op-ed of an upcoming mass vaccination campaign to support depopulation efforts. Have a quick look at Africa and India, right, and see why he's not allowed there. Just saying. The blurry photo, shared more than 3,000 times on Twitter, shows someone holding a copy of a newspaper, the Sovereign Independent. The newspaper, or the paper, has a headline that reads, Depopulation by Forced Vaccination, the Zero Carbon Solution. A photo of Bill Gates alongside, and a longer quoted by him appears next to the headline. The woman holding up the paper that she has kept since 2011, interesting, reads the tweet's caption, the paper contains an article by Bill Gates called Depopulation Through, they don't have to repeat themselves here. Gates thinks it would be the most environmentally friendly solution. No one gave it much thought at the time. I think I might have. But anyway, however, the article was actually written by the author named Rachel Windeer, not Gates. Windeer's byline can be seen in the clearer image, and the same newspaper that has been archived online. The website for the newspaper, which shared misinformation, keyword, including conspiracy theories, second keyword, make sure you get them in there, nobody will listen anymore, we seem to have covered that little leak, appears to have been updated in 2014. So in 2014, when they were really gearing up and planning ahead, and the World Economic Forum and all the rest of it were working out how exactly they were going to crash everybody's economy, they tidied that little mess away. Okay. While the quote that appears in the front of the page in June 2011 edition is an authentic quote from Gates, it has been taken out of context. That's one hell of a quote. Anyway, the world today has 6.8 billion people. The quote next to Gates' photo reads that headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproduction, health services, we lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. It's not your job to lower the percentage of the world population, mate. You stick to computers. Anyway, it's interesting to note that what he does is he then makes a computer, right, then creates a virus that you then need to buy the antidote to keep your computer running. It's clever, isn't it? Who'd ever thought they'd have put that to human beings? Anyway, Gates delivered this quote during a tech talk, Innovation to Zero, but he wasn't, so he's been thinking about this a long time then, but he wasn't speaking about killing people with a vaccine. He was discussing how vaccines and improved healthcare could help reduce the rate of global population growth and subsequently lower the carbon emissions. Wanting to reduce the population, that's not your job. That's God's job. That's nature's job. That isn't your job, okay? I say, well, here's a great idea. if you want to reduce the population, what you do is you leave people in their indigenous place. You don't export them somewhere else, all right? And you leave nature in those countries to take care of whatever situation it is. And then you stop throwing aid at people because it doesn't work. Just saying. That would be a really, really good invention, wouldn't it? So here's an idea, Bill. Why don't you just listen to me? What we do is we take all the people that we flooded Europe with, we send them back to where they came from. We then drop the drawbridge to Africa and India, stop sending aid to anywhere else, right? And let nature take its course. You'll find the population will drop fairly quickly there, mate. Just saying. And then it's nothing to do with you, me, or anybody else. It's God, it's nature doing its thing. What about that? Oh, yeah, there's no money to be made there, is there? So whatever. So basically what they're doing is they're saying that all this was taken out of context. He didn't mean it. And some woman's mixed his words up to make the worst out of it. Well, what do you believe? Now, obviously, I've gone about as far as I can with this. But if you type it in there, apnews.com, okay, and type in, well, just look for this yourself, okay? Now, I won't get a strike on this, he says, probably getting a strike, because I haven't said that what he's actually trying to do. Haven't. You have to decide that for yourself. And you have to decide what has happened since Bill Gates got into medicine. Research what happened in the early days of him playing around with medicine over in the third world. That would be a really good start. And if you do that, you'll find that he's now not allowed in certain places. You have to ask yourself, why? And, well, while you're there, follow the trail. I can't say anymore, for obvious reasons. You get it. But go and do a bit of your own research. Don't listen to me. What am I? I'm nothing more than a bloke that drives a truck. I know nothing. But if you look for yourself, you'll find it all out for yourself. I haven't got to then tell you anymore. And I also haven't got to risk losing my channel. And not just that. The thing is, if it comes from me, so many people go, oh, it's just another conspiracy theorist, or he doesn't know what he's talking about. But if you go and had a look and found it out for yourself, well, you trust you, don't you? Or have you got to such a stage now where you only trust what the TV tells you, what the newspaper tells you, what the police tell you, that kind of thing? I mean, if you got to that state, bless, you're in quite a mess, really. But here's a thought. Why don't you open the window, look outside, and first off, look at the weather. Go and have a look at the weather. Are we in the middle of a polar vortex? No. Does it seem to be global warming? No. Does it look like it did look around this time last year, roughly? Yeah. Okay. Now go and look at the weather. Actually, go to Google or go onto one of those searches on your phone that tell you every day how we're going to have the worst weather in the next few weeks. We're all going to be over, or under, I should say, about 10 foot of snow. And then once they're bored and finished with that little one, because it gets you to click on it, right, they'll go over to worst summer ever, okay? Now, once you've realised you've looked out, like you did yesterday and the day before and the day before, and they had it wrong all the time, that's just the weather, then go and look at some of the news from, historically speaking, the past, and then compare it to the news that you now know, what actually happened, and then follow that along. And then when you realise the news is wrong, go to other things and do the same thing. This will be a really, really interesting thing for you to do. And it really just changes the way you think. If you've got depression, it can help. It'll make it worse to start with, but it can help in the long run because things become more obvious. You start thinking for yourself and start understanding a bit more. But so when you realise that the weather lies to you, the weather people, right, and whether you realise that the news lies to you, you know, and then when you go and watch things like, I don't know, you might be obsessing yourself by watching things like EastEnders, Coronation Street and all the rest of it. When you realise that that's all doom and gloom merchants, right, and what I'm trying to tell you here, basically, because I could go on and on and on, is go and look at something for yourself, then look at what they're telling you. Then when the two don't weigh up, ask yourself, who do I trust? Now, when it's the media telling you that you have to believe us because we're the truth, you then know they're covering something up. But what? That's the part that you've got to find out. Because at the end of the day, no, you can't trust anybody else but yourself. And sometimes you even let yourself down. I have. Everybody does. But you've got to start looking at things for yourself. All right? Don't trust anybody. Do it all yourself. And then what you'll do, eventually you'll put a thread together. Follow that thread. And go with a lot of gut instinct, by the way. Gut instinct's one of the the best things that you can have. And we've ignored it for years. Some of us ignore it more than others. When I started listening to my gut instincts rather than other things, my life got better. That's fact. And a lot of people, when they start listening to the gut instincts, things do get better. So this is what I'm saying. But yeah, just do a little bit of research. Anyway, have a good one. And I'll see you in a bit.